Alice, we can start.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So I'm Alice, and I'm going to be going through the moderator for the webinar today.
Yeah.
So I will take you through the agenda. So we're going to start with an introduction briefly from Theodoros, and then we're going to have points by Anastasia, followed by some questions, points by Polina, followed by questions, points by Sonja, and then Donna, and then at the end, Astrid is going to speak on some research she is doing, and we'll just follow that up by a summary with some more questions. And so the format today is all participants will be on mute, except for the speaker in question. And if anyone wants to ask any questions, if you could type them in chat, and then I'll be able to pose them to the speaker. Or if you wish to speak, then we can maybe put it to you at the appropriate time. So the point of this webinar today is going to be to have a general discussion on women in leadership roles, the history of them, and where we are now, and what we can expect and what we can do for the future. So now I'm going to pass you on to Theodoros to maybe say a few opening words, if that's okay.
Alice, one question. You will make it live?
I can make it. Do you want it live on Facebook, or do you want me to record it?
No, you can make it like in Facebook, and then we will take it, and just because more people can follow it, and then we will also forward video.
Make it live. I can make it live on my own Facebook page now, if that's okay.
Yes, and we will take it, because also in our Facebook page is now kayaking, so it's a little bit busy hour. So I will ask the president that is here with us to open this webinar, this very important webinar.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Theodoros. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you. And I already mentioned about Eva, our Vice President, FIDE Women Commission Chairperson. She will miss this meeting because of the serious matter. Her father passed away, and our condolences go to her. So I would like to thank all of you, because not only for this webinar, but because of your role as a leaders. And we feel, for example, in this youth, how important are our female, and not only sitting as a women in the board or in other commissions, but also how balanced women are. And you know, if men is bringing normally war, I know that women is bringing peace. So we need more leaders, women, to have more peace. And your role is invaluable here. And I'm sure that this webinar will again confirm and help our females who want to be leader, to grow up as a leader. And also, I saw many people here from whom you can share also experience. And I would wish to good luck and good work. And I think I will leave because two men will be too much on this meeting, and I hope Theodoros will follow the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Zurab. I don't know why there are not a lot of men in this meeting. I mean, it's always, I think that should be, because they are feeling defensive on this meeting. But the opposite, we want to promote this. And when I heard this idea from Alice and Eva, I said, this is a very good idea. Sonja Johnson, also from here, from FIDE Commission, said, we should not see the women in chess only as development, but it's more important to see now as leadership, because that means that we really develop and in this area. So for us, this is a very good opportunity that we host this meeting. And we are live now also through Facebook, and more people can see it. And after this, we can also distribute it, so many people can see, no matter who are in the Zoom meeting, can follow this event now, live or later. So I don't have to say anything, just I want to ask you to inspire, let's say, our women in chess and out of chess to do more, and to, let's say, and to lead us. I mean, this will be a very good day for chess. So that's all. Alice, we can start with the speakers.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So our first speaker here is going to be Anastasia, if she wants to start.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I just want to thank you, European Chess Union, for this kind invitation, and I really believe that it's very good initiative to have such a meetings and discuss role of women in chess and leadership. And when I was preparing to this meeting, I was thinking from what actually I have to start, and I think I have to start from the very beginning about my chess story, how I become like an arbiter in chess, organizer in chess, president of Belarusian Chess Federation. I born in chess family, and my uncle was a grandmaster, Viktor Kuprejchik. And when I was a little girl, you know, I always heard that, okay, this is very talented girl, she is a niece of Viktor Kuprejchik. And since that time, I was dreaming that one day I will grow up and people will say, okay, this is Anastasia Sorokina, and it's her uncle Viktor Kuprejchik. It was my, you know, feelings, how I want to attract myself, that I want to be someone, not only niece of Viktor Kuprejchik. And when I grew up, step by step, I start to understand that it's not very important who are you, woman or man or even kid. The most important part is what kind of motivation you have in your life. For me, I had a kid's dream to move to Australia. And this dream came to me when I was 12 years old. I played in my first World Championship under 12. Maybe Dana also, I believe Dana also played there in Duisburg. And I had a little toy, koala, that actually Kuprejchik bring to me. And it was my talisman, you know. Every day, this koala sits near by my table. And I believe, at that time I believed, of course, that it's helped me. And before last game, I lost this koala. And I should play with a famous grandmaster, Ruth Sheldon. And I promised myself, if I will not lose this game, if I could draw or if I can win, when I grow up, I will go to Australia. And I drew this game, I took 5th place, but this kid dream, you know, become part of my life, you know. All my life after this, since I was 12 years old until 21, I was dreaming to go to Australia. And this was my motivation when, on age of only 21, I became a chief delegate of a Belarusian team. I was only 21, but I brought kids who was at that time 16 and 18 years old to the championship, World Chess Championship in Greece, where actually first time I met Polina and all other my friends who's become my friends for now, you know. And it was a very hard time for 21 years old girl, you know, when even parents of those kids came to the Ministry of Sport in my country and say, this little girl will bring our kids, we don't trust her, you know. And I need to be, you know, strong and come and say that, no, I'm not a 20 years one girl. I'm a woman who is responsible for your kids, and I will protect your kids, and I will do my best that they will have not only safe trip and everything, but they will have a good result. And actually this year we get some medals in this championship. Immediately after this, after 1 year, I moved to Australia, and I started my career as a chess teacher. You know, it was also a big step for me because I have to choose. You know, in Belarus, I already work in Ministry of Sport and have a good position and good chances to develop myself. But my kids' dream, my motivation move me ahead, you know, that I want something more, not, I don't want to stop. I need more motivation. And I moved to Australia, where I worked 1 year as a chess teacher in Queensland School of Chess. And after that, I moved to Melbourne and opened my own academy. It also was a part of my motivation. And I believe that all women who is working in chess as a leaders, not only chess, you know, everywhere, the main point is to be a lot, how to say, motivated by some reasons. Because of this, after some years, I was thinking that I have to do something for Belarus chess, because unfortunately, like 5 years ago, we don't have a very good situation in chess in Belarus. We wasn't very famous, you know, like we wasn't very active. In 2015, my team, we organized with European Chess Union, we organized European Individual Chess Championship. And it was the first step for us to announce Belarus Chess Federation as a country that we are ready to organize international events. It was pretty successful, I believe so. I hope Mr. President will confirm that this championship we organized pretty well. And I started to thinking about another motivation for myself, because European Championship is over, but I want more kids to play chess. And we offered to FIDE organize first World and Rapid Chess Championship for kids under 8, 10 and 12 years old. It was pretty successful tournament. No one believed on this, you know, as I remember some people say if it will be 200 participants, it will be already successful. But the first year we had 600 players, and that's why we organized second and third edition of this event. And after this, people start to believe that we need to change something in our federation, that our federation, that time we have a very good president, but he has his own job and he wasn't very active in chess. And it was a time for us to change it and to elect a woman. And tell you true, it was a very hard time for me, because it was exactly time when my uncle Victor Kuprechik passed away. So really, I didn't even remember how election was, because 19 I was elected, 22nd he passed away, and since that time I get a new motivation in my life that I have to work not for one person as myself, also for my uncle. So I all the time have a motivation that what I'm doing, even when I want to stop, you know, because sometimes all women, all ladies, we are very tired. It's very difficult time after time for us to show that we are strong enough. So I always feel that I work for two people. And my motivation become to promote Belarus, and the best promotion is, I believe, the time it was to organize Chess Olympiad. We made a lot of steps to, how to say, to explain people in government that it's very important event, and how important it could be for the country. And now I want to tell a little bit about if I feel as a woman that sometimes, not all men, but time after time, I feel this, when you speak in a high level government discussion or something, if I feel something like I'm not strong enough. It's a very different in all countries, I believe. But in Belarus, we don't have a lot of women who is leaders in any kind of sport or businesses. So it's not so popular till now. And of course, time after time, it's very sad, but I hear some things like, okay, it's easy for you to go to speak, let's say, with a sponsor, just smile them. And I think that it's kind of accusation, you know, and it cannot be like this, of course. Of course, first of all leaders, and doesn't matter it's men or women, should be respected at the same level. And I know and I believe that in most countries it's like this. In Belarus, time after time, not always, but I have this problem that if it's men, it's easier to have some discussion in high government level. But still we are on. We organize a lot of tournaments, and I think that we promote chess a lot, and my team it's include more women as men. So I think it's a good point to have more women in chess, because I think we are a little bit more motivated as men.
Okay, thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions, or is there anything more you want to say there?
Yes, I will be happy to answer any questions, you know, because tell the truth, it's my first experience as a speaker and in Zoom, I mean, and I don't know what exactly I can tell from my experience, because I believe it's, that all experience in all countries, it's a little bit different. And as I said, in Belarus, we have one story, and Europe countries, I think it's a bit different. So I will be happy to reply if you have any questions that I can share my vision or experience with you.
Yeah, so we have a question here from what is your next goal?
Okay, the next thing that we are going to organize, it will be Women World Cup. Normally it's supposed to be in September, but most probably it will be moved a little bit. It's about goal for Belarusian chess, but if you talk about my goal, I still motivated enough to try to organize Olympiad and Cup. So I don't have any particular ideas, but for sure one day I will find one more goal for myself. Sonja.
Hi.
Hello.
Is Alice asking the questions, or do we ask the questions directly?
You can ask the question directly if you want.
Okay. So Anastasia, I just put a question in, and I just wanted to find out from you who you felt within the chess world really helped you to reach where you are today. You mentioned your uncle, but apart from that, who you thought really helped you to where you are today as VP and so on?
As I said, you know, at the very beginning, and I strongly believe in this, that each person just needs a motivation to be who you want to be. My uncle never helped me at any point as a chess player or as a chess administrator. He always said, okay, chess is very hard sport, it's not for women. So he never helped me. It just was my thinking and feeling what I want to do and how I want to show, you know, that woman is very important in chess and in leadership. But I believe that all my career that I how to say, grow up or how I build it, you know, it's because of the people who was around me. As I said, you know, in 2001, it was the first time when I meet FIDE team, and it was Polina was there, you know, Mr. Makropoulos was there, Mr. Zurav was there, Theodoros was there, you know, all those people. Dana, I know since we was, I don't know, 12 years old. And the support and beliefs of the people, you know, even when I was elected, you know, I had a lot of discussion with my friends. Is it the right step to be a president of the Belarus Chess Federation? And each of them give me opinion, you know, and yes, I believe without all those people, it's never will happen. It's like friends around you.
Okay, so we have another question here, which is, what is the situation about the 2022 Olympiad, if you can answer that? I'm
not ready to answer now because unfortunately, all the situation what happened around the world make a lot of changes in all lives in all countries. Belarus faced down, because as a small country, we face down with a lot of economic problems now. And I'm not ready to answer it yet. I could say that let's do it step by step. I strongly hope that we will organize and believe that we will organize World Women World Cup and Men World Cup in 2021. About women, I'm not sure what will be dates, but still we are in the floor, to discuss it, and then we'll see.
Okay, great. And we have one more question here about your motivation to become an arbiter, and do you think that helped you with networking and meeting people?
Yes, of course. I forgot to tell, I wrote for myself, to speak a little bit about my arbiter's career. Yes, of course, arbiter job becomes in my life only because one day I understood that I cannot be a world champion, but I still want to stay in the chess world. And I was start thinking what else I can do. And I became an international arbiter in 2002. So that time I can say it was not many women arbiter, and it was very hard for me to show that ladies could be the same level arbiter as a man. And for me it was very important, signal when in Olympiad in Tromsø in Norway, whereas Takis Nikolopoulos was a chief arbiter and I was a sector arbiter already. It was a big honor for me already to be a sector arbiter. He gave me sector in the middle, because of course I was dreaming to have a first or second sector, where all stars plays. And I say, but Takis, why, you think I'm not a strong arbiter? And he say, no, you are very strong arbiter. That's why I give you the most difficult part, those sectors that are in the middle, whereas different countries play and a lot more mistakes could be happened, and this was for me the signal that, okay, I become a very good arbiter already, but I cannot stop. I have to develop myself and to become an arbiter same level as we have men arbiters. But my motivation first was just, okay, I cannot be a world champion, but I want to stay in the chess world.
Okay, thank you so much. If there are any more questions, or if not, I think if you want to make any closing remarks, or we can move on to our next speaker.
Thank you. Thank you so much for questions, and thank you.
Dana has a question.
Yes.
Dana has a question.
He's just clapping.
Just applauding. I was applauding. Thank you, Anastasia.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And I hope we will have more meetings like this. It's just, as I said, it's my first experience, and sorry if I talk, too much and not many things about actually topics that we want to open, but I try to explain you the situation, how I become chess professional, president of the Chess Federation, arbiter and player, and how to combine all those roles. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So our next speaker is going to be Polina, if she wants to say a few words there.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Polina Tsedenova, and I'm an administrative manager of FIDE since 1997, so from last millennium. And today, for me, it's a great pleasure, first of all, to be here. And I want to thank ECU, Zurab, Theodoros, Eva, Alice, Dana, and everybody for the kind invitation. And I think it's kind of a token of appreciation for the FIDE employees who are behind the scene usually, and who are trying to accommodate all the requests, do a lot of things. And I'm sure many of you have met me somewhere, and they see, of course, a lot of familiar faces and names here, especially from the arbiter side, as you know, married to an arbiter. That's why, of course, we are a chess family, but I don't have any chess background. That's why for me it was, let's say, from the beginning, a very interesting experience. I started working for FIDE in 1996, and it was a really men's world at that period. There were not any ladies in any official positions in FIDE, in presidential board or central committee, which used to be there. There were not ladies who I, let's say, recall as presidents of federations. There were, let's say, a couple who used to be, let's say, by incident delegates and the meeting. So for me, it was a very strange experience from, let's say, from this time. There was, of course, Women's Chess Commission already, and the chairperson of this commission was Nana Alexandria. You all know Nana Alexandria. She had brilliant ideas. She had a lot of plans, but they all, unfortunately, fall through because, again, of the lack of finances, the lack of central planning, and there was not, I think, not this proper attention given to women's chess. Of course, there were matches, there were tournaments, and they started to organize eventually the knockout format Women's World Championships. But let's say when chess became officially recognized by the International Olympic Committee in 1999. After that, of course, FIDE had to follow the main guidelines of the International Olympic Committee. And from that year, I would say the changes started to be implemented. I recall the Las Vegas World Championship in 1999, where, let's say, the IOC sent their female vice president, Anita de France, to represent IOC and to speak and to welcome chess players on behalf of the IOC. And it was, of course, a very pleasant, for me as a woman, it was a very pleasant already fact. From that moment, let's say, the Women's Commission started getting more attention in FIDE, and it was decided that the chair of this commission has to be women's world champions. And of course, you already, many of you remember that several of women's world champions were chairpersons of this committee, and Zsuzsa Polgar, and Sasha Kostyniuk, and Antoaneta Stefanova. And they were dynamic, they tried to do things, and they attended the meetings. It was decided that a women's world champion should be on board, should be a member, voting member of the FIDE presidential board, and they tried to contribute a lot with their ideas, with their plans, with the events, and they also participated in some other things like the Sport Accord Conference, which is for umbrella for the Olympic and non-Olympic sports. And remember that Sasha Kostyniuk was also our ambassador for Peace and Sport organization. And at least already attention started to become bigger, but still the numbers, if we look at the numbers still 2010, I would say, were very, very scarce. I would like to share with you some statistics from 2010 to see how many women were in the presidential board, executive board, zonal presidents, and the FIDE commissions from 2010 till now. You will see the numbers then, let's say, not a lot, but still, if you can see that in 2010, we had 2 female members of the presidential board, 2 female members of executive board, and there were no women as zonal presidents. And then there are different commissions because the numbers, the commissions stayed mainly the same, but the numbers again vary. And you see that, let's say, from 2010, when we had only 2 ladies on Arbiters Commission, now they are 4. In CIS, which is Educational Commission, now actually the number went backwards. It used to be 7 ladies, now there are only 2, and so on and so forth. There are all the statistics here, if you can see. And of course, now the presidential board has 6 female members, with former women's world champion Zhu Chen on a ticket, and vice presidents Anastasia Sorokina, Gulkis Tulay, and Judith Polgar as an honorary vice president, and there are members of executive board, and there are 2 zone presidents, women as well. And of course, we can see here that we have chairpersons in the commissions. We see here Sonja, who is the next speaker, Johnson, a very dynamic, very energetic, and very doing great job in the development commission. Yeva Repkova as well, who unfortunately is not here today, also doing a good job. There is Salome Zaksaita in the Fairplay Commission, and so on and so forth. So I think the motto of what I want to tell you is that women came to stay in chess, that women's presence is felt, and women's presence will be even stronger and stronger with every year. I hope so, and I wish that this will be the fact. Because let's say now we have 384 members in all FIDE commissions, and we have 73 females in them. In federation presidents, we have about 195 federations, and there are only 11 female presidents in the federations. And also in the officials of federations, among 1,001 persons, there are only 255 women. From what we can also say is that if we follow the guidelines, we continue following the guidelines of the International Olympic Committee, they have a very important and interesting project, which is called Generation Equality Movement. And it's combined together between the IOC and the United Nations. And so they have actually given stress and importance to the main ideas, and I would like to share with you the aspects which they want to be followed, not only by the IOC, the Olympic sports, by all international sports federations, by the UN, by the organizers, by grassroots people, by civil society, by the brands, by marketers, by media and sport influencers. So there is a strong need to promote women's leadership and gender equality in governance models. There is a need to prevent and respond to gender-based violence. We should undertake to close the gap in investment in women's sport and promote equal economic opportunities for women and girls. Okay, let's dream. Promote women's sports equal participation and bias-free representation in media, and provide equal opportunities for girls in sport, physical activities, and physical education. So in a nutshell, what means that what FIDE is actually doing and has been doing for many years, that Women's Commission is in close cooperation with the other active and important commissions in FIDE, like Arbiters Commission, Trainers Commission, Education Commission, Development Commission. Of course, this collaboration should be under the umbrella of a special maybe movement, women and chess. And that's why there are these 5 or 6 main principles, which I think for the future should be taken care of and should be monitored and considered. One is athletes, the representation, the equality. Second one is the equality in technical officials, let's say in arbiters. And then equality in portrayal, that is media coverage. Let's say even we have, let's say, the manager for media, and they should really think when they take photos in the tournaments or take interviews, there should be also a gender equality there, not only in the Olympiad, but in any tournament organized by FIDE or ECU. There should be, of course, equality in human resources and official positions and in funding sponsorship. And I think there might be even an idea to think that in the future there should be a position of a gender equality manager, maybe, who could supervise all these aspects on various levels, from national federations members of ECU or FIDE or other continents to the highest level. And actually, what I was discussing this with my friends also who used to work for FIDE before, and I was saying that I was honored to be invited to speak at this seminar about the role of women in chess. And she said, actually, maybe we should change the aspect and we should think about the role of chess in women's life. Maybe then we will actually move the importance, and it can give eventually good results and in education and in the development of chess players and in general picture of women representation in our beautiful sport. So this is my short, let's say, contribution to the seminar. And once again, thank you very much. It was very nice seeing all of you here. And I hope to see you all in Congress, because I have organized from 1997 every year, all congresses I was participating in the organization. And last year I missed, this year I missed this Congress first time, and hope to catch up with everybody in some tournaments.
Okay, thank you. We just have one question for you here, if you're happy to answer it. And it's just that you said that women have come to stay in chess, but the numbers of ladies is very low among the officials. What do you think deters women from being represented?
Oh, I think this is a very complicated issue, and it's not only what women want, it's again the question of, as what Anastasia mentioned, we have to see here country by country, we have to see here the social structure, we have to see the national federation resources and the infrastructure and background, and then this should be going from, this will be the base of the pyramid, and then going to ECU, other continents, and then to FIDE eventually to the level. So I think every federation has to grow up their talent, they have to have their talent base, and they have to make sure that gender equality is kept, is preserved, and at least is, you know, looked at as one of the possibilities in the federation's work. And I think Sonja will also deal with this in her speech. So I think it's up to every federation to try to promote women equally as they promote the men in all the positions which I mentioned.
Okay, thank you. And we have another question that's directed to all of the panel, so if anyone wants to answer this, but it's, what about, so is it wise to insist on Women's Commission being all female? And they've given an example here of a colleague, Lawrence Cooper, who's done a lot for women's chess in England, but was asked to stand down from the commission. So if anyone has thoughts on this, they'd like to.
From what I can say historically, in the congresses, which let's say from 97 to 2002, it was very difficult even to have a meeting of Women's Commission during congresses because people were not interested, and the only people who would go there were men. Actually, was our former treasurer David Jarrett from England, and a couple of others, let's say our honorary president Florencio Campomanes and some others. Women were not going to attend the meetings. One aspect was that there were not many women who were delegates or who were attendees of the congresses. And second was that unfortunately there was no motivation. There was, let's say, nothing to be offered to them. So no, FIDE never looked at Women's Commission as something which should be women only. No, I don't think this is the idea. It has never been. So I don't think, I personally don't agree. And from what I have seen working for FIDE for 22 years, that the best is when there is a real balance. I mean, balance should be everywhere. Nobody's saying that it's women commission, yes, and only women should be there.
Can I add something here, Alice, just in this question? I just want to answer to David that, for example, in ECU, the chairman of Women's Commission is Jean-Michel Repère. I mean, it's all let's say, a man that, okay, he's dedicated to women chess from Monaco Chess Federation. So actually, yes, there are a lot of men also that are activated in this field, and they are part of, they are or they can be part of these commissions. So this notice is correct.
Just one more thing here about Polina, if you'd be happy to share your notes afterwards.
Yes, sure. I will share I will send to Alice my statistics, which was kindly prepared by my colleagues from Elista FIDE office, and also the link to this gender equality project by the IOC as well.
Okay, thank you so much. If you have any final comments or any more questions, or if not, we can happy to move on to the next speaker.
Once again, thank you very much. I have, it has always been a pleasure working with ECU, and I remember in 1999 when the first ECU Congress was held in Batumi, I was privileged to work there to help Zurab in organization of this thing, and with Theodorus also we have organized the FIDE Congress in 2001, and I will always be happy to help with whatever in case there is a need for the ECU, because I have a lot of friends, of course, here.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks so much. So if we could move on to our next speaker now, Sonja, if she'd be happy to start.
Thank you very much. Just allow me to share my screen. Hold on. Okay, guys, you still hearing me? So hold on. Are we still hearing me? Yeah? Okay, good. So I just prepared a few slides, not too many because we only have a few, 20 minutes or so, and some of it includes questions. But first of all, I want to say thank you very much to ECU and the whole team for being here today, bringing this little Caribbean girl across to Europe to do this discussion, to have this discussion. I just want to take you a little bit through my own journey in the chess world, because I thought this was interesting, and I thought I should share it visually a little bit, just some of the points. So I'm going to begin with just giving a little bit about my background in terms of education and so on. So I've always been very technical, generally, math, computer science, that has been my trend. I've had a lot of professional training because I have worked in a multinational organization, financial institution for 12 years. So you see my career spans education, the financial sector, public relations, and IT policy. So a lot of it is very technical. So it's interesting that that is generally mostly my hat. I might smile because I'm from the Caribbean, but I'm generally very technical in my approach to certain things. So this is who I am. This is my background, what I bring to bear within the chess world. So I'm going to take you through my own timeline, similar to Anastasia. I will tell you how I started. So I was a typical chess mom, right? Everybody knows there must be a chess mom. So I was that chess mom, where my son wanted to play chess. We encouraged him. And once he started, I have 4 children, by the way, they all play chess. So I was the quintessential chess mom, right? And that was quite back in 2007. And because of that role, you know, you will always be at chess events and so on. I used to start helping out with the federation. They wanted somebody to do prize giving, to make some announcements. I was one of those people. So I helped with that. And they thought that maybe you could do this a little more often. So I was asked to become the public relations officer of the Federation in 2013. I took a long while before I said yes, but I eventually said yes. In 2014 was my first exposure to FIDE because I was asked to serve as delegate. As Polina said, it was just a handful of us serving as delegates in those meetings. So I did get the opportunity in 2014, which happened to be an election year. So you know you become popular in an election year because everybody's searching for these delegates to see who they will vote for. In 2015, after that experience, I was given the opportunity to serve as vice president of the Federation. Again, in Trinidad and Tobago, like many other countries, it was not normal to have female in authority, but I did have precedent. There were 2 other females who served as president before me a few years before. So there was that path that was made for me. And in 2015, later on, the president resigned and I had no choice than to take over as president of the Federation, and then was officially voted in 2016. And I am still president to this date. In 2016, again, through being in FIDE, I was able to meet a few folks, and I think Polina mentioned a few, Anastasia and so on, who I met in 2016. And I remember making the comment that I said, FIDE does such a poor job of profiling what they do. And people wanted to know, who is this girl from wherever making these kinds of comments? I remember Marco telling me that, well, like, who are you, you know? And I explained to him what I meant. And later on that meeting, I realized they put me on the marketing committee for FIDE. And then in 2018, actually, I got wind, and after the election, I got an opportunity to provide some assistance when they wanted to see how it is could we roll out a particular funding program. It's going to be new. People came into me, officials from FIDE came into me and said, Sonja, to many, is there any way that you could provide some assistance here? And because of my background, I was able to just make some suggestions, which seemed to have had some merit, and was afforded the position of Secretary of the Planning and Development Commission of FIDE. Earlier this year, I was promoted to chair. So that, and that is again because the work, I think the team, I can't just say me, I have a great team at the Planning and Development Commission, which Polina showed has 4 women, and that was intentional. I made it a point that I must have certain women on this committee. I think Carolina is also part of this particular session. She was one of them that I earmarked. So, so we know, you know, what it is, because we understand we must always be able to look for talent and support each other as women. That's how I really feel. And I think that will go a long way. So this is, as I said, this is my timeline. I am going to, I think it's important for people to understand what allowed me, because I think some people would say, well, where did you come from? It's such a short time frame. You're not a chess player. You're not a chess arbiter. Where did you come from? And I think there were few enablers or a certain positive influences that allowed me to follow this path. But I am not defined by chess. I make that very clear. I am a professional first. You know, I was a professional as a banker, as a customer service director, whatever it is was my field. I was defined as a mother. Those are my main roles as I saw it, right? So I was not defined by chess, but I understood that no matter where you are in life, you still have to operate in a certain way. You still have a certain skill set. So, and you must always be professional. So what I found as an enabler is that when there were opportunities to demonstrate your professional ability, try to make use of that. So which is what I did. So when FIDE came in and said, could you help in developing this particular set of procedures? I'm like, I've been a banker for 12 years. You know, let me use some of that in this particular request. And I thought that helped. The second thing people don't understand as women, we must be confident We've spent so many years raising our families, managing multiple priorities. Be confident in what you have to offer. So for me, it was confidence. So let your voice be heard. So me telling Macro, say, hey, no, FIDE not doing a good job, was a little bit risky, right? But I thought that people were not telling him that. And I think you have to be truthful and honest. So that's, for me, was important. Another part that I found was very important, and that's why I asked Anastasia the question, because for me, I was able to solicit support from various leaders within the chess community. As I said before, people didn't know me. I wasn't in the chess world for a long time, but I was able to get that support because people understood that I was able, because of my voice, because there were things that I felt were important to help develop, people were willing to listen. And some of those people were leaders within the chess community. And then they were able to then say, okay, how could we harness all of this energy? Polina said that I have a lot of energy to make it to benefit FIDE. So for me, this was very important. And I have to tell you, a lot of leadership I got were from men, not just men, but from men in leadership, because of course it is a male-dominated environment. So I thought it was very important to put that there. And of course, my last part is prior experience operating in a male-dominated environment. I went to high school. There was a certain set of subjects I couldn't do, so I had to go to a male high school to complete. I ended up teaching in the same male high school. So again, with a handful of females, I understood how to deal with the men and their egos and so on. So I think it helped that I think it helped me with my confidence that I didn't feel threatened in any way. I understood the value and I was able to move forward. So I think these are the positive influences that helped me on my journey. But of course, these positive things must come with challenges. Yeah. So that same male-oriented environment that I grew up in, of course, provided a lot of challenges. Of course, a female in any male environment, there are many issues that you have to deal with within that. Questions about competence. Who does she think she is? What does she think she knows? Where could she get her experience? So, of course, you have those issues. Of course, the issues of sexism will come into play there. Now, y'all, I don't shy away. People who know when I have conversations, I speak directly, right? So these, to me, are key issues, and I think we need to address them. So I'm using the opportunity, the platform now to do this. And of course, the last one for me, who is Trinidad and Tobago? Some people didn't even know where Trinidad and Tobago was, right? And here was I, this girl from a country, 1.4 million people from the Caribbean, where people thought was Jamaica. What do you have to offer? What could you possibly know? After all, who plays chess in Trinidad and Tobago? Of course, the Caribbean is known for athletics and cricket and other things. But here was I from this small island saying, okay, well, maybe we could do something, right? So that was clearly a challenge that I had to face. But again, because of my confidence, it didn't matter, right? So I tried to overcome that. But I thought it was important for me to identify that even if it seemed that I was successful, there were many, many challenges that I faced then and still face now, yeah? As we come closer to the end, I want to tell you about some of the key learnings for me, because I thought I should share this with you, with all. So at the end of it, when you go through what you have been through at different levels, and when I say different levels, it's my different hats, because as I said, I'm still the president of the association. I am the chair now of the PDC. And what I also said, I also chair the arbitration committee for the Olympic Committee. So I really do have a full gamut of hats. But one of the few things that I have learned is that you must always remain professional, no matter what. I know people define professionalism in different ways, but there's sometimes an Eastern view versus a Western view. I am from the Western view in terms of how you engage people, how you speak, how you dress. I mean, everything, the whole package that it's okay for you to show that side of yourself. The other part I said, be authentic. People who know me know that, as again, I will say what I have to say. I will always be respectful. But I think that we cannot develop relationships or grow unless we are true to ourselves and we are true to others. So you have to always be authentic. If I do not know something, I'm going to say I don't know. I'm not going to pretend, right? You need to be authentic. Those are the things that build credibility. So I think for me, I strive always is to continue building that credibility. If I'm angry, you're going to see that I'm angry. I'm not going to hold it back, you know, like in the old days, you say, you know, women keep quiet. No, again, with respect, I'm going to say, express my displeasure. The other thing is that you have to know your stakeholders. Who are you dealing with? I know my family very well. I know every child, my husband, so I know how to interact with them. It's the same thing in the chess world. Everyone is different. How do I deal with people from Russia? How do I deal with people from Western Europe? How do I deal with people from the Americas? From each one, you have to understand who you're dealing with and where they come from. So I spend a lot of time trying to understand people, so therefore I could interact better. So as women, I think it's important that we understand that and not just say, well, because I am a woman, let me not go out there or put myself out there. No, know your stakeholders. The other point I thought was important is that there's a difference between being emotional and being passionate. You know, we always hear the term, well, women are emotional, which gets me emotional. But guess what? What we need to do is translate that into passion. Yeah, many of us are passionate about very many things. Anastasia spoke a lot about what motivated her. There are many things that we're passionate about. And the world benefits when we make sure that we can deliver on that passion to benefit others. The world benefits, okay? The other part, I want to go down the road. I'm not a feminist in any way. You must embrace your femininity. I am a woman and I love being a woman. I am not pretending to be a man, not because I'm in a room with 10 men and I'm the only woman. I am still a woman. I have certain perspectives and beliefs and values. I embrace it because diversity is important. So for me, don't be ashamed. I make no apologies for it. Embrace your femininity. And the last one, which I absolutely love, is that it takes courage. Right? Men don't understand courage like women understand courage. I am sorry. I make no apologies for that statement either, because of what we face. Okay? In many cases, we have to come from behind or come from a disadvantaged position. But it's okay. It takes courage to be right. Sometimes people want to be popular. I always say, I don't need to be popular. Let's do what is right. It takes courage to do what is right. And as women, many times we are the lone voice, raising our hands saying, here now guys, this is not making sense. This is not right. Even if it doesn't go in your favor, make sure you have that voice. That takes courage. Yeah. So so that's it in the main on my end. And I just want to leave you with this quote that I just recently read, guys. And I want to read it for you. Remember this. And one day she discovered she was fierce and strong and full of fire, and that not even she could hold herself back because her passion burned brighter than her fears. Thank you very much. That's it. Questions? I don't know if there are questions, but that's it.
We have a question, well, more of a, I think it's a point here from Vera saying chess could be an effective tool to raise awareness on gender or race discrimination in general through intercultural communication. If you want to share your thoughts on that, or Vera herself maybe wants to talk a bit and expand, that could be be great.
Where's Vero?
Hello. Hello, Sonja. How are you?
Hi, Vero.
Nice to meet you again. No, I only wanted to say to share some thoughts with you as I was listening very carefully to Sonja's speech. I agree very much with what she said, and I only wanted to share my thought on this. That was only the point. It was not a question. It was an agreement in general.
Okay, well, if there were, oh, there we go. So you seem to be so brave, Sonja. Is there anything you're afraid of? Very good person.
Dana, what kind of question is that? Dana, what I am most scared of is the time that I'm stopped being me. The time that I stop believing and adhering to fundamental principles, that I am in a job that prevents me from doing what is right. That is what I fear. That because of the other influences, it starts to change me from what I think should be my true self. So that is what I am always conscious of, that I don't get too caught up in the power or the position, that it changes the core of who I am. So that to me is what I pay attention to. Somebody's asking what are my next goals in chess. So my next goals in chess is just to do the best job that I can, but also mainly to try and influence where I can. We must do better. FIDE has a lot of work to do, and my association as well. So I think even though you've had successes, you must always find ways to be better and say that we must do better, guys, but not just say, present ways or find people who you know who could help present ideas, because it's easy to just say we need to be better and that's it. What could I do to help us be better? So that is where I am. It's on a journey to always continuous improvement. Yeah? Thanks, Serena.
Okay, brilliant. So with all that, we might move on to our final speaker, Donna, if she wants to maybe start up there.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dear chess friends. And thank you, Sonja, Anastasia, and Polina, for such an explosion of energy. I would try to, an inspiration, I would try to carry on with that. I think it was Polina who said that it's very important to speak not only about women in chess, but also about chess in women's lives. And probably my little story would be more of that. So I was actually asked to tell you about how chess has helped me in the other area of my life, which is politics. You know that politics is really a man's world, and a lady would hardly survive in it unless she does have a superpower or at least a secret weapon. I've been in politics since 10 years ago, several times member of the parliament, and I've been a Minister of Economic Affairs and also a Minister of Finance, two sectors which are also normally male-dominated ones. So what is my secret power or superpower or secret weapon? It has been really a chess. That is my superpower that has helped me so much in the real life and in politics especially. And I would say if I try to structure what is it that chess has given to me, it is basically three major things. It is tricks that I could use in politics, and I would expand on that. And it is also the emotional backup. So if I start with an image, it's strange enough, but that's my observation in politics, that unlike men, women in politics are normally prescribed with a certain roles. If she is young, even if she's very smart and talented, she's regarded as being the girl whose capacities, whose competence is continuously questioned. If she shows herself as being a very strong woman and succeeds, then I don't like to use this name, but you can imagine how they are normally called. You know, it's starting with the B in English. So, and then if you are successful enough to get out of this role, you become the grandmama. So that's already the big status of a lady, of a woman in politics. So for me, it has really happened that I have avoided all three roles. Probably Big Mama is still to come, yes, at some point when I deserve that. But my role, even in politics, has always been a chess player. Sometimes I have felt myself being as a criminal authority, having this nickname, you know, she's a chess player. But it has really helped me a lot not to be put in these prescribed little boxes and presumptions. Another factor, it is also a credibility, if we talk about this image side, because it is really so that people perceive the fact that if you have become a grandmaster in chess, if you have succeeded in such a complex discipline, you must be smart, and that helps. You could agree. And especially in this men's world, I mean, the first thing when you interact with somebody, with some leaders of other countries, of your own ones, you hardly ever have much time for your introduction. And then this fact that you are a chess grandmaster has actually opened the doors, not only professionally, but also emotionally, because at the end of the day, when you are one of the soldiers in the dark suit army, you are always looking for some soul to talk to some human side of all these professionals. And if you know something more besides their political background, besides their professional achievements, something about the other person's private life or hobbies or interests or achievements in the other disciplines, that always helps, not only with the small talk, which is also very important sometimes, but being a base to create and develop the relationship on. And chess has helped me so much. So then we come to the skills and tricks. Chess is a war game, and this is very important to remember, that life is not only about the war, it's much more and much complex. But nevertheless, there are some things that you can easily transfer from chess, if you have been an active chess player, to the real life and to the politics especially. And I would just name few of many that I've actually used. First of all, is the decision making, which is actually very important in politics. When you are in politics, you sometimes see that people tend to concentrate so much on the process. They are so process oriented, and hardly ever they come to the results. And especially if you look through the political parties' election programs, you could see the same promises over these political cycles, which means that, well, not so much has been done over the years. And this is the thing that chess teaches you, to make the decisions. You know, during one game, you have a limited time, and every move is actually a decision-making process. You memorize things, you calculate, you sometimes base your decision on the intuition, but then you have to make the moves 20, 40, 60, sometimes even more times. And this is the skill that has helped me so much in the politics. And that's why probably I've been successful in developing and in implementing notable reforms, like financial sector cleaning and like tax reform, like energy sector opening market and others. Use of resources. the world champion Mikhail Tal, who's the magician coming from Riga, has said, first help your pieces, then the pieces would help you. So this is a principle that sometimes the big bosses forget. Taking care about your team, taking care about your people, putting them in the right places, in the appropriate places, asking them sometimes what is their goal in their life, what they want to achieve, do they enjoy working with you, helps you so much, because if they are in the right places, they get motivated, they help you, and as the political leader, you become much stronger. The principle of breaking the balance. Every chess player knows that, at least my chess coach was always teaching me that you always have to play safe so that the draw is in your pocket. It does work if your opponent is more or less of the same level, but every chess player knows that this principle doesn't work if you counter a much stronger opponent or a much weaker one. Then you have to use the principle of breaking the balance. You have to sacrifice, you have to take the risk, you have to do something extraordinary. And it's in politics, it's always also the same question as in business. When and how much you need to take the risk. So this simple principle that chess teaches you might be used in politics as well. Chess also has taught me that your strength doesn't count only of having a million strong sides. Sometimes you become much stronger if you are able to get rid of your weaknesses. And this helps you so much in politics as well. And the last but not least, it is the fair play principle. Not only chess, but sports in general. I think this is one of the major things that sports does teach you, and it's very important also in politics. A lot of people, being a politician, sometimes forget the fact that life and politics, it is not a short distance. It is a marathon. And if you are cheating, you can win a game, but you could probably not win the tournament. If you are cheating, you could win a tournament, but you would never become the world champion. And this principle has helped me in politics, and that's why that's probably why I can already say that I'm a senior politician already. As 10 years, it's not so a short time distance. And then at the end, I would come to this emotional backup part. We are the human beings, and the human beings are social creatures. It is very important for us to have this sense of belonging to somebody, to some group of the people. Yes, for most of us, it is the family. It can be also your professional area. But for me, it has been always so important to have this feeling that I do belong to this big, great, smart, trustful society of the chess players. And believe it or not, it has given me the stronger stamina. It has given me the brighter eyes and much bigger self-confidence also in the chess world, because I feel this, sense of belonging to this great community outside of politics. And it also has given me the sense of having the plan B, because politics is very unstable. One day you can be a minister, you can be a king, and the other day you are out on the street already. And if you have this feeling of having the plan B, it gives you much more courage to take the risk. Because I come back to what I said in the beginning, not so many things have been really done in politics, more promises than the actual deliverables. And one thing that I was thinking might be the reason is that if you implement some bigger reform, there are always the losers as well. And it's not the most popular thing. So if politics is the only thing that you have in your life, you grasp to it, and you are very afraid of taking the risks. so you lose the strength. If you have the plan B, if you have some profession, if you have a strong family, if you have chess as well, as in my case, you become much braver and you can take the risks, you take the decisions, and you succeed. So that's my experience, how chess has helped in my life, and will continue to help to do that. And I'm so happy actually that I have these two sides of my heart or my face. From one side, I'm a politician. From the other one, I'm a real chess player. I feel myself like a super woman having the double strength this way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. If there are, we have a question here in chat. So how do you manage to balance your chess and non-chess career, and what takes priority?
If we talk about my professional life, then yes, politics does take the most of the time, and that's my profession today. But what is also important, that it's not only the professions that I do associate myself with. The same as Sonja, I do have 4 kids, and that's the other identity, very important, another very important of mine, that forms me as a person and personality. But I must admit, a lot of people have asked me, how can you manage doing all those things, you know, kids, studying, working, chess? It's a mission impossible. It is actually a mission impossible unless you have had the tough sports training since your childhood. This is the sports training, and that is why I always value the sportsmen so high. I know that they are the people who know what does it mean to work a lot, what does it mean to balance your professional and private life, what does it mean to really value your time, and I can do all of these things in parallel and do it quite successfully because I've had this chess training, since sports training, discipline since my childhood.
Okay, so we have a really excellent question here from Lily, which is, what do you think is the most effective way to increase women in leadership roles, such as quotas, membership schemes, anti-bias trainings, and what measures are FIDE and ECU concretely taking already? So this is to all members of the panel.
I would probably start with my opinion. I come from a country where actually 52% of the leading positions are held by women. Quite a big share, isn't it? But if you dig deeper, of course, then it's not so bright as it looks, because normally the top positions are held by men, and then the second highest by women. And we do not have the quota system. But if the situation is as it is in the chess organizations, that actually the presence of the ladies is so low, I do believe that the quota system might work for the beginning. But in general, I believe that the example of having the strong women and their experience and their visibility might actually encourage the other ladies to be more active. Because this is one feature of the women that I've observed. Women tend to be more self-critical. For higher positions, men do not think twice to apply. Women always find excuses why not to do it. I'm not too smart. I'm not smart enough. I do not have the experience. I mean, this self-confidence problem is very strong. And then I also do see that those women who have succeeded, also in the chess world, it is our obligation to get more ladies on board. I think it was Madeleine Albright who said that there is a special place in the hell for the women who do not help the other women. So that's our mission, girls, to get the rest on board.
Can I say something in the last questions, the general about FIDE or ECU, about quotas and the more women in chess? I want to say that I think that already we have taken a lot of actions on this. As Polina said before, I mean, today we have many women in the boards, in leading positions. Before 2 years, ECU also enforced at least 20% of arbiters to be female or male in its competition. This was, we gave little fight this to pass it, let's say, but we did it and it works. And of course, it's always the question, you cannot give quota only to women. So we said 20% male or female. I mean, at least, let's say, to be from its gender. So I think that more or less we have do this, even in the boards, and all the positions are open. But the most important here is to encourage more women to come in chess. I mean, the real problem is not that we are not, for example, using now or voting or women's in arbiters position or in boards. We do this and we want this. Everybody wants this now. But the general population in chess, and this is something that Sonja also works from development found, is that it's less than 20%, maybe 15% of the total, let's say, chess population. So first step is to develop these numbers, and then we will have by sure more women and in administrations and in other positions. And for this, of course, many things are done. Seminars, development seminars, tournaments, and there is, let's say, effort on this. So we are moving in this direction. Just we need to encourage more women to come to chess and to stay in chess, because more of the girls after 16, 18 years old, they abandon chess. And of course, this is something that more you as girls, women, can answer also why happening this. And that's for me.
Alice, could I add something to this? So Theodoros, you're quite right. I mean, FIDE already, through the Women's Commission, and Alice, you know as well, there was this resolution when they said we're trying to get 25% of women within official positions within FIDE. But I think Theo raised a good point. Who are these women who will be filling these positions? So we need to have some sort of strategy to build, to identify that talent base. So I don't, so for example, you see like conversations like what we're having now. I mean, I envisage that we have conversations with women, because we sometimes think we know why women don't stay. In some cases, our demographics are changing, values are changing, needs are changing. We need to have more of these conversations. What is it that will make you not say, why are you leaving? Let's flip the question. What do we need to do to keep you in chess? So let's change the narrative a little bit. Have some more of these conversations. Have conversations where it would be not too formal and not too technical. Of course, guys could be around once they let us have our way. Nothing is wrong with that. But allow us to really say, these are the issues that we have. We don't like being in situations where people make certain kinds of comments. That makes me uncomfortable. You know, have those hard discussions. What do we need to do? What do men need to do? How do we train our men, right? How do we help men build, identify talent even within their federations? Yeah, so those are the conversations we need to start having, and having more of these kinds of seminars where everybody's committed, either by continent and so on. We are going to have these conversations once a quarter or whatever it is, because we need the information first before we could make the decisions and come up with appropriate policies that would be effective. That's just my 2 cents. Thanks.
I just want to say just as well, I completely agree with that. These are the conversations we need to be having and continue to be having, and then off these seminars create actually something concrete, such as these I think mentorship schemes are brilliant, or anti-bias training and even quotas, but we need to see what people are wanting and to reach out to women first. And so I think continuing to have these are really important, and hopefully off the back of this, webinar, we can hopefully find other people and make contacts so we can continue to push these forward. We have another question here for all the panel, which is one of the reasons working towards equal representation at all levels of leadership and organization is that all female players feel more comfortable in open competitions. Would the panel agree it is important for female players to be able to insist on a female arbiter or an ombudsman woman when there are issues of privacy implications such as cheating and reviewing webcam footage?
Alice, I think already I answered this. I saw this question speaking about female arbiters in open tournaments, that already we implement this. We have a 20% minimum of each gender in the open competitions, at least in European championships. So this, what was asked, exists. Maybe it doesn't exist in other continents or in some federations, but it's good to, let's say, apply such policies and in a national level so they can solve this problem. And just to say a final remark from me, let's say what you said, Alice, that I can tell you that I am impressed from the quality and the level of this webinar today. I mean, I have never followed recently such webinar with such level of speeches and results and descriptions. I was also busy with many matters that time that I had to do, and listening some speeches, I stuck to listen because it was really great and proves that already we have a women leader in chess, and I think that this video also will promote it a lot because it's a video that can go and out of chess. It was very good presentations, and thank you very much for this, all the speakers. And by sure, as ECU will continue to promote this and make more. Thank you also, Alice.
Thank you so much for supporting it yourself. So we have just one more question here about how do all the speakers combine chess, job, and family? So
Alice, I will just go. No, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. For me, it's very easy. I'm not such a super mom as Dana or Sonja. I have a daughter, she's already grown up, and my husband is an arbiter. So for me, it's, let's say, chess is our life. Let's say now he's doing a tournament online in another room, and I'm on this seminar. And more or less the balance in our life is just towards chess, let's say. But of course, there have been a lot of issues with travels, because when child is at school, no matter 1 or 3, and there are a lot of trips, you have to handle this somehow. But let's say, I think chess is also very flexible in this, and I think it was a very healthy environment for the kids to grow around, and she has seen a lot of things. She has met a lot of interesting and great people, a lot of role models, a lot of countries to visit. So I think chess is an ideal job, if you ask me. Thank you.
One little secret is just to take your kids to the chess world. Not all of my 4 kids play regularly or actively. All of them know how to do it. But that's our family practice, that we take the kids to all the chess events where it's possible. Like the next week, we are going to Measures, to a chess tournament with all the family. And that's the very nice way how to spend the time together as well. Does the online chess helps in this? Not so much. I mean, my family, my kids get angry when I spend the hours and hours in the evenings playing for the German or Swedish league. So that doesn't help at all. Physical contact is needed for them.
I just want to add, I think it's important that you have a great support base. In my case, my husband supports me completely. My children, as Dana said, because they came from the chess world, they understand. But for us, it's a little bit bigger because I think chess has a role to play, which is bigger than chess. We have a responsibility because of what chess brings to communities and societies and citizens. So in our family, we have these philosophies, and if these are the things that are aligned to what our personal philosophy is, then we have, it's all in. For us, it's all in. So when you have that wind at your back, you know, even though you're going to have the times that mommy has to travel a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, they all know what is the end game, and the support is there, and they know at the end it's going to be all good. So that to me makes it a whole lot easier.
Okay, so next I'm going to pass over to Astrid, who is doing some really good research at the moment on chess that I think she's just important for her to promote on this webinar.
Hi everyone, thank you Alice for the opportunity. So I'm a chess player of Belgium and at the moment doing my second master about gender and diversity, and therefore I'm doing my thesis about gender in chess. And my research is actually based on research that already exists in the STEM field, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and also about research that already existed about chess and gender. And I have three main questions. The first one is, how do female chess players experience their minority position in the chess world? That I have done my research in in-depth interviews with female chess players from the Netherlands and from Flanders. But the two other main research questions, I want to do it with a survey, and those are, what profile does a chess player have, and what image does a chess player have about chess players and about gender roles. And actually some of the questions who have said, like, which factors are women to keep on playing chess or will stop or start to chess, are asked in the survey. So a warm shout out to fill in the survey and to share it around, because as many chess players fill it in, it will have more statistical relevance and more scientific relevance, and it will help for policymakers if it's a good research with many chess players who has filled it in. So shout out to all of you. I will put a link in the chat.
Okay, thank you so much. I've read through the survey myself. It's a really good one. So really everyone do go and share that and answer it if you can. So question here for Dana, which is, in online arenas, we find that women drop in for 30 to 60 minutes after work, and before and after children's bedtimes. If they had to go out to the chess club, that wouldn't happen. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, the opportunity to play online does give much more options, and I wouldn't spend so much time for chess if I would have to go to chess clubs. That's for sure. The question was of how I combine it with the family, and then, as I said, it doesn't help so much. But just for playing chess, online has done a marvelous job, especially during the COVID time, when so many other sport disciplines were limited, at least in our country. The restrictions were totally banning any other sport events, unless you were a chess player. You could meet every night for a chess tournament, and we did not feel this break so harshly. So that's the advantage of chess, and that is why I do believe in e-chess esports in our discipline, that's a great future for our game as well, because it is a unique mode of sports. When you switch from the soccer, on-field soccer, to online, the only physical part that is trained is your fingers, yes? But when you switch from the onboard chess to online chess, this discipline still remains the same. So that's our advantage.
I have a question myself for the panel or anyone who wants to ask, and it's, you've described so well how you've overcome all the challenges, and some, you know, are involved with being a woman. Would you have any advice for maybe men here about how to prevent these challenges from actually existing in the first place?
Again, it's just to have a discussion with the women. Just see women for who they are, not the physical, not anything, but for your mind and what they bring to the table. Stop a little bit. I know sometimes people have internal biases, naturally not intended in many cases, but just stop and just ask a question. How are you feeling today? What do you like about this? How is this? Just have real conversations. And the more that you learn, the more that you understand, and the better you will be able to respond.
Okay. Thank you. One thing I want to do now is maybe even open this up to the floor. So if anyone has their own points they want to make, experiences, challenges they've overcome or faced and would like to share, feel free.
Meanwhile, if I can share my experiences from the politics, I think all the men here who are participating in our webinar are actually doing a great job. That means that they are interested in what we think, and it's not like some. I do remember still the very first feminist conference that I attended in London many years ago, that it was only ladies talking about the issues that concern them. And I felt such a pity that there were no men actually listening to them and didn't have any opportunity to then change probably. So that is very important that Alice, you and the other organizers of this webinar has managed to attract so many gentlemen as well. But yes, just a funny thing that I was also thinking about the politics, that you know, since that is the male-dominated area, the ladies have to really find ways how to manage taking the decisions that are important for them. Because, for example, men normally take the decisions outside the official meeting rooms, like going together for a smoke, or sometimes, for example, in our country, hunting together or going to sauna. I cannot go with the prime minister around the corner to smoke because I don't do that. I cannot go with the other ministers or the prime minister to sauna. That would be regarded as inappropriate. Hunting is not among my hobbies, so that's also not the way I could get my idea through. So what is the way I can use to get my ideas through? So that's the biggest challenge for the ladies living and working, especially working in the male-dominated sectors. I haven't got my recipe yet. The only thing is just that I'm really trying to get more ladies on board so that we can have some subcultures, some subsystems where we could informally take the decisions and work on the decisions before they are promoted further and adopted.
Another question here is, do the panel think that the priority should be for federations to set an example from the top and hope that grassroots follow? or that federations should have mandated inclusion and gender balance at grassroots level? I think that's a really interesting question, if anyone wants to.
I want to suggest both. I think you could have a double whammy there. For example, in the Trinidad and Tobago Chess Association, we wasn't by mandate, but now my team is 5 out of 8 are women. The lowest we've had in the past few years is 3 out of 8. So it's straddled between 3, 4, 5 out of 8. So from the top, we're already seeing, you know, from the president, I have male vice presidents, and then I have secretaries and treasurers and so on. So I think that's one good thing, because it shows that there's a commitment, that it's not a problem having a woman in this role. But also what that does with leadership comes more responsibility. So you may need to share, because my clubs may not follow the same model. I'm looking at the question. I realize my clubs don't necessarily follow the same model. Most of the delegates at our meetings are still men, right? So the question is, how then do we show and demonstrate that it's okay, even at that level, it's okay to do that with your girls? Because if you don't have it at the grassroots, you're not going to have, there's a handful of people at leadership, but the clubs, you start to spread out your areas of influence, your points of influence. So the more that we could try and continue to educate them on these things, I think the two-tiered system will indeed be a little more effective, not just the top and not just the grassroots.
The question about the special prizes, special categories, fundings and quotas, and whether or not they can be also sometimes harmful. You know, sometimes there are the experiences that playing with the quotas and with the obligation to involve the women in the processes, men are trying to use these concepts to demonstrate that women are less capable. But that's very seldom, and in general I think they work very well. And talking about the chess world and special prizes, I'm in favor of keeping them, because I think that one of the factors why women do quit chess at some point, it is also very practical. If you cannot earn money enough to keep your family, to be self-sufficient, you just ought to find another discipline where you can do that. And it is true that the money in chess, in women chess, is much less than the men's chess. So I do encourage not only keeping the special prizes, but expanding the support to women chess, so that they are encouraged to go really in for chess, use it as a profession, choose it as a profession, and stay there. That's a very important factor if we talk about why women do quit chess. It is a lack of funding as well.
I have some thoughts on as well these like special prizes and categories. While I do think, yes, men sometimes don't take women as seriously if we're talking about women in leadership roles when they're on the quota, but I don't think that means we shouldn't have the quotas in place. I think we just need to educate men on taking women seriously, even if they only got there through quotas. I don't think we need to, you know, stop the quotas existing, but instead it should be the responsibility of the men to make sure they realize why the quotas are there. And it's not because their women aren't capable, it's because there might be, you know, more barriers in place for women to get these leadership roles in the first
place. Alice, can you hear me? Could I just say something, if I may, since you targeted your question at the men? I think the most important thing is if men learn to accept the presence of women at chess events and in administrative roles as normal, rather than being some sort of freaks. 2 or 3 years ago, in the first round of first couple of rounds of the under 2300 in Gibraltar, my first two opponents were WGMs, and I lost both games. The general reaction I got from everybody was I was very unlucky to have to play two opponents of that caliber in the first two rounds of an under 2300 tournament. 30 years ago, I can't begin to describe what the reaction would have been for me or any other man who had lost 2 games to women in succession. You know, attitudes have changed, and they are continuing to change, but maybe the process is slow.
Yeah, I definitely agree that attitudes are really important to change, and they certainly are changing. And I think having, you know, women in leadership roles and in tournaments and prizes leading the way can really accelerate changing, because we're seeing women in the spotlight more and more.
And just a minor point, at top level in the English arbitering community, I'm outnumbered. We have 3 active category A arbiters, and the other 2 resident in the country, and the other 2 are women.
Okay, so one more question here is, how would you respond to those who are still arguing women in general are worse than men at chess, citing as evidence that top female players aren't as strong as top male players? If any of the panel have anything they respond.
Women are multidisciplinary. So besides chess, we do prevail in many other sectors, like having kids. And, you know, believe me or not, but I do think that with having the computers over the years, you would see that the ladies would become much stronger, because that's my observation, that men are better in inventing things, but and inventing new knowledge, yeah, but women are better in synthesizing the existing knowledge. So in the complex systems, we are better to organize them and use for the benefit of something, yeah. But the advantage of men is, of course, to dig deeper and in a narrow line work much harder. That's something that probably has ensured men being the better chess players till now, but the future is still to come.
I hear a lot that people would say, you know, men are stronger because there are more men up the top. And while I think anyone who says that, you need to stop and look at the big picture and ask yourself, why are more men up the top? And if you just say it's because they're smarter, you're not looking at the whole picture of what society is actually like, the different challenges faced by women, and the history of lots of other disciplines like chess. While women used to be not as strong, if you take all the STEM disciplines like science, technology, women used to be far behind in them. And then with current initiatives in place, you see women rising to the top a lot more. So when people just say, you know, oh, men are better at chess, we should leave it as it is, what's the point? I think you just have to say, look around, that's not what's happening in the rest of, in other disciplines like chess, and we need to put initiatives in place to, you know, for the future.
Alice, can I make also a point here? Okay, between joke and point. Okay, first of all, why you are smarter if you play better chess? I mean, okay, what I want to say, I mean, there is not necessarily connected. Okay, so that, for example, one player played better than the other, no matter if it is men or women, that does not mean that is smarter. Okay, so I mean, so this question doesn't exist. What Dana says is absolutely correct, but also, again, it's a matter of numbers. Okay, we had some women players like Judith Polgar, like Hui Fan, that really reached, let's say, the top level of 4 players. But again, if 10% of the world players or 15 are women, there are less chances that we will have more stronger women, because it's a matter of population also that dealing with the chess. So for me, this question doesn't, let's say anything. Why the men are more men strong player than women doesn't say anything about the gender issue. That's my point.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a really, really important point, that it is all about numbers. So if there are any other points, we're nearly coming to the end of the webinar now. So if anyone has any more points or further statements they'd like to make.
I just want to add something on the question of Alex. It is actually already been a lot of research about that question. And the first argument is indeed that it's about statistics only, but looking at the statistics only, it doesn't quite make the gap. There is still something else that exists, and there are still research going about. Some say it's just the nature, but a lot of people are saying it's also about cultural factors, about social factors, about how are kids educated, about gender roles and stuff like that. So, but there already exists a lot of research, and it's, yeah. But my research will also say something about it. So please fill in the survey.
Okay, so we are coming up to the finishing time now. Well, it was at different times because everyone's in different parts of the world. But I just want to really thank all, the panel and the speakers here, and as well to, the ECU and Theodoros for helping us put this together. It's really great to hear so many, inspirational female leaders. And yeah, so thank you so much for everyone who came and everyone who spoke.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Alice.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.